is Pierce J. Brooks. I'm an empowerment speaker and coach. That's what I love to do, is do public speaking and share my message, share my testimony, and be able to help people as much as I can through their journey in life.
Okay, and I watched a couple of your videos about your humble beginnings. Can you talk or touch on that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, it's kind of all over the map. It really started with my basketball journey. In my first TEDx talk, Playing the Game of Social Pressure, I speak about how I was supposed to be this NBA star. That's what this kind of pressure everybody around me put on me. And I started to play basketball, and in the beginning I really liked it, but at a certain point, not too long after that, I just fell out of love with it, and it really wasn't what I wanted to do. But I still kept with it anyway. And I think a lot of people can relate to that, where we're doing things we don't really like, but we keep on going because we don't know any other option. So I did that, and that took me down a crazy road. I ended up playing college basketball, but I lost 4 scholarships throughout that journey. So that was rough. During that, my father had committed suicide, and he and I kind of had an estranged relationship at the time. So that was tough to deal with in the midst of all that. And it eventually led me to this school called Dickinson State University, where I gave my commencement address. And if it hadn't been for me losing all these scholarships and these kind of bumps and bruises along the way, I wouldn't have been doing what I am now. So it's kind of crazy how that works, where, you know, our suffering can end up being the thing that makes us triumph.
Wow. Well, you know, you're a very powerful speaker, and just happy. So you would not know that you went through so much in the beginning. And what led you to that ultimately?
Yeah, so a couple of things. One of them, which I'm going to be talking about in this next talk, is I spent so much of my life, 30 years of my life, and I'm 32. So 30 years of my life just keeping everything in, not sharing my experience. I was kind of conditioned to believe that we don't talk about what we go through. And over time, I just started to see how detrimental that was, just for my own mental health and well-being, and just being able to connect to people. So that made me isolate a lot, and I wouldn't tell people what I was going through. I mean, I had friends of 30 years that had no idea what was happening at home.
Wow.
I didn't feel like there was anybody I could talk to. And I eventually had to go into therapy, and that was just so healing. And, you know, in recovery program, they say, talk it out, don't act it out. Mm-hmm. I was acting it out so much, you know, because I'm naturally an emotional person, and mm-hmm. you have to get it out some kind of way. And I just wasn't doing it in healthy ways. And through therapy and sharing, I just found the healing components of that. And that's what I really found what I wanted to do, which is talk about my story, speak, and also work with people one-on-one.
Wow, that's phenomenal. Now, I have a quote, and it'll be familiar to you. If
Okay.
If you're going through hell, keep going. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, that was I said that in my first TEDx. Winston Churchill, I think, that you just have to keep pushing. I think a lot of times we get stagnant and paralyzed in the midst of chaos, and it's going on right now. And we need that moment to be able to just sit and kind of, you know, calibrate what is happening. So it's missing a little bit of context, that you don't just keep going. Sometimes you do have to pause and just kind of like, what is this tornado that I'm in? And as you kind of get used to it, you do have to keep on pushing, because staying anywhere, I really think, is death. I think momentum and the ability to keep on going no matter what, because I don't think progression should have a conditional relationship. We shouldn't only progress if things are good. You know, we need to progress through the bad moments. And so that's just something that a lot of my mentors have really instilled in me, stuff that I've read, and just kind of a belief that I've adopted as I try to walk my journey in life.
I like that. You're exceptionally transparent, and you do know that life can get rocky, you know. So you have a realistic approach to what you do. like you said, you have to take time to recalibrate and think about this tornado that you're in. Which brings me to pivoting and the transition strategy. Can you tell me about that?
First, I really want to, just comment on something you're saying. That means so much to me to hear that, because so many things. I've always been just kind of a sponge and trying to learn what other speakers are saying, and just as I was growing up, I used to just watch videos and read books, and some of the things, they were truths, they were universal truths that these people were saying, but I always was like, how, how do you do that, right? You just keep going, right? It's just too much of a broad stroke. And so that's one of the things I've really tried to keep in mind is to try to go into the depth of what you're feeling in that time. And that's just my writing process. That's my coaching process, to be able to relate to that. So first of all, thank you for sharing that, because that's my intention. The pivoting and transitioning strategy is, we're always pivoting in our life. I don't think we ever stop pivoting, whether it's by choice or not. There are always going to be things that happen in our life that we're not ready for, but we need to respond. I think at least 50%, if not 75% of life is about how we respond to things, and most of the things we cannot control. So we're more influencers than we can create every situation that we're in. However, those influences can create better circumstances for us. So I think when you just frame it in the right mind, that we all pivot, we all do it, and it's really seeing it. Some people may not. It's just like, it comes down to definition. Sometimes they don't view it in that way, like, oh, I've never been in this situation. Yes, you have, because life is pivoting, and part of life is pivoting all the time, right? So it's just identifying it. And for me, I was able to identify it because of basketball. So I had a term for it. I was familiar with it, and I saw it come up so much in life that I was like, okay, I see pivoting is important. Having a good relationship with pivoting is important. How do I make sure that, I see my experience as being experienced for these moments? And when you find it, and we all have it, it's really a rewarding process for us.
Yes, it is. It really is. It's kind of like, it's not kind of like, it's like the pandemic and the standstill and trying to figure it out, and the worry, and okay, I can do this at the end. So, and you elaborate on that beautifully with your TED Talk. And you did mention, well, I watched the first one. So how many have you done? And tell me about your upcoming event.
So I've only done one so far, and I have my second one coming up in 25 days. I have a little countdown on my whiteboard. And this will be the last one for a while, and I want to make room for some other things. But this next event is my talk is called Finding Meaning in Madness, and I'm doing this speech at TEDx Oxnard. And it started as a just kind of talk of the times with the pandemic, as you said, and the civil unrest and things of that sort. But as I went down this journey, it really started to be, okay, what's the meaning I found in my own madness? So that, and that's really what I want to do, is share my life and share any insight to see if anybody else can connect to it, and it can be helpful in some way. So it ended up being one thing, but it kind of boomeranged and turned into something else. But I'm really happy with the message that I'll be speaking on.
I think a lot of people will be able to relate, because when I saw the title, and I'm like, oh, I love that. Can't steal it, but I love it.
So I'm doing a little bit, if I may ask you a question, I'm doing a little bit of market research over the course of this journey of mine for this next talk. What is some of the madness that you've found in your life? What's the meaning you found within that madness, if you don't mind sharing?
The meaning within that madness, I mean, that life still goes on. I have multiple kids. My sister died 8 years ago, so I have my biological children, her children, and there's always chaos with children.
Right.
So chaos within the madness. It's maddening trying to navigate so many personalities, but the meaning within it is I was here for a purpose, so I have to see that purpose through. I have to fulfill that purpose because God did not put me in this position for nothing. So that's my take on it, or my experience.
That's beautiful. And it really connects to, I think, the message that I'm really trying to get out there is that within the suffering, within those maddening moments, we will find our purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Really clarifies why we're here.
Right.
If we choose to look for the meaning in it.
Right.
So,
I'm sorry. Do you think you could have more than one purpose though? That's the question.
100%. Yeah, I think our purpose continues to evolve over time, and that's the meaning part. So meaning is what it's as complex as madness. So madness is different for everybody, and meaning is different for everybody.
Right.
And it's kind of that pebble that it's that penny that you have to find in the dark room, but if you look for it, it's definitely there for you. And yes, our purpose continues to evolve over time.
Are you the kind of person, you seem like the kind of person that's like this, because I'm like this, like you spoke of the penny. So it's kind of like, okay, you find a penny on the ground, you find 50 cents. Well, theoretically, not even theoretically, realistically, it's more than what you had 30 minutes ago. So are you that type of person that finds beauty in even the small things?
I'm the type of person to try, yes. I just think that it just helps me. I've been through, like anybody else, I've been through a lot of really tough times, right? We all have. In order for me to stay sane, in my mind, I have to think this is all for my benefit.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't, I will get into, because I have a victim side to me too.
Right.
I do, and I've realized this over some of the inner work that I've done. If I don't think that, okay, this is for me, I will get into this poor pity me.
Mm-hmm.
I used to do that a long time ago, and that doesn't work for me anymore. So I've just really tried my best to change the relationship. Going back to what we said, still being in the madness, still finding my way to, okay, I don't like what's going on, admitting it, being sad for a moment, but
Mm-hmm.
still pushing through and just trying to find the golden nuggets within that chaos.
See, you're just such a realist. I love it. Because me, myself, at this age, I'm golden era of hip hop age.
Classic. Love it.
So, and it's like now that I'm older, I acknowledge my toxic traits, and you're not going to do that when you're younger. You're like, okay, dog, am I that person? Do I do that? So I think that's so important. In order to be a teacher, you have to be a student of yourself, and you've mastered that, or you're still learning to do that. So I really respect and appreciate that about you. And speaking of, how do you self-motivate?
I'm a huge music head, so I'm always listening to. I'm always dancing around into the wee hours of the morning, listening to some tracks. That's always motivating for me. So that type of creative energy. Mm-hmm. I have some great mentors, and I ask a ton of questions. I've always been this kind of curious person, so I ask my mentors thousands of questions. My uncle, who's the biggest influence and mentor in my life, he'll go, "Do you work for the IRS? Why do you ask so many questions?" So I just want to keep on learning, and I think I've just tried to put so many good things in my life as little touch points: music, or again, mentors, good friends, and all the combination of these things really just motivate me to keep on going. And
right.
And I've just tried my best to clear, my house of any negativity, as far as negative that I'm hearing from the outside, and that really keeps me kind of clear-headed and focused to keep on going.
Wow, I love that. Do you burn sage?
No, I'm not that far yet, but Let's talk next year. I'll probably be on that tip.
I pray not, because my kids can't stand it. I'm like, I'm gonna burn some sage and send you upstairs. But
yeah. No, I'm the kind of guy who burned down the house if I try to do something.
Oh Lord, don't do that. So, what's one word that comes to mind describing you?
Complicated.
Complicated.
Yeah, just the and duality between good and bad. Mm-hmm. I have this. I think we're all a spectrum of, how we can be really great in certain moments, and we can be, like you said, acknowledging that toxic side of us. And so I think that for a long time I was using my natural abilities for not the best outcome. Mm-hmm. And I'll talk about this a little bit in my next speech, so you'll understand what I'm saying then. But it's like a superhero and a villain. Both of them have great talents, right? But mm-hmm. one is choosing them for good, and the other is choosing them for harm.
Right.
And so either way, it's a choice. And so I have all that wrapped within me. It's a blender of things. And so now it's just trying to be intentional about choosing what I do for the betterment of myself and those around me.
Okay, I love it. Now, here's a trick question. This
okay.
Is a good one, a real good one. Are you walking in perfection or excellence?
Ooh, that is a fantastic question. I'll tell you the truth. Where I am right now is I'm walking a little bit more in perfection, which is part of the growth that I need to overcome. Mm-hmm. I definitely want to be someone who's walking in excellence. And all the people that I admire, I have my wall right here of several of my mentors, and Prince, I got my little shelf of Prince, Dave Chappelle, Dr. Dre, all these guys. They have a standard of excellence, mm-hmm. and they also are prolific,
right?
And they just keep on releasing. Part of my Achilles heel or part of my roadblock is just wanting the next thing to just be perfect, and it's got to be so this and that. And I'm trying my best to kind of, cut that out. But that's definitely one of the challenges that I face.
Again, love your answer. So I have another good one.
Okay. These are all good ones. I have no doubt.
Thank you. Are you failing forward?
Failing forward. Yeah, I would say yes. At this stage in my life, I do fail forward.
And why?
Because it has to do with just, again, keeping on going. And there's rarely a time where some kind of like traumatic thing happens, or some moment where I'm just so stuck and I just don't try. Mm-hmm. I'm a risk taker by nature also, and so I'm getting into the mindset of, which is it's weird because it's kind of a contrast to the last answer, but there's parts of me where I don't care if I fail at all.
Right.
There's really those parts of me where I'll just take a risk, and I'm not afraid of no. I'm not afraid of rejection, and right. I haven't been for so long. And that's helped me really in my business career, where I was just going into companies and moving up, just doing things in the company tree and ladder that people were just like, how are you doing that? And it just because I would ask. That's really all it was.
Right,
right. I kicked ass, and then I would ask for this, and they just said, okay. And so many people I saw just didn't do that. So there's definitely two sides of me. Again, the complicated, where one side of me, does want that perfection, doesn't want to fail, but another side of me isn't afraid to fail at all. And thank you for that question, because it's really showing me that that's the side I need to, err on. So had a breakthrough moment.
We're all about breakthrough here. So now here's my next question. This is a good one too. what you say. She think all her questions good.
Yeah.
I do, for real. So, how do you push through bad times? And does this go hand in hand with managing loss and recovery?
Gosh, it's these questions are so tough because it's you know, any type of trauma or loss, it's so distinctive and personal that it's hard to really broad stroke. I think that what I try to do is I try to remember. I have one of my mantras in my head is just everything is temporary, and so I try to remember that even in good things. When good things happen to me, I say, you know what, this is great. I'm grateful for it, but this will not last.
Right.
And I have the same kind of energy towards negative things, and so I really just look at it like it's a wave. Like, and sometimes I go in the ocean, and you get hit with a crazy wave, and you just have to wait it out. There's nothing you can do. It's totally out of your control, and you just gotta hope you can hold your breath long enough, but you trust that you can. And then you just wait it out, and eventually the water will calm. And so I think that's one of the first things that I do. The next thing that I try to do is I try to just, again, attach to something good. I have great friends that I can have wonderful conversations with to change the energy. I try to have gratitude for even those bad moments and think, wow, at least I have this, and this, and this, and this. At least I have a roof over my head. At least I have internet that's working to talk to you. So that's even one thing I do with my clients is if they're coming in to a session and they're just rattled by something else, I quickly just say, okay, give me 10 things you're grateful for right now. And after they do that, it instantly changes their mood. And so that those are just some of the tricks that I try to do when I face something that's not so pleasant.
Right. It's kind of like when a bill collector calls. I'm like, have a nice day. That could have went south.
Yep.
Have a nice day. And I feel so much better and less stressed. So you had said that in the beginning, and that's from me watching your video, that you were under pressure to play ball and just to be this superstar, this magnificent person. Do you think that parents are unaware that they put so much pressure on their kids? And I'm just jumping to where we are now in current times.
Yeah, I think it really depends on the household. I think some are very aware. If you look at LeVar Ball, I think he knows exactly what he's doing. But they probably, as far as awareness, they're probably not aware of the impact on their kid. I think typically that type of pressure is just rooted in ego and how can this benefit me, and I'm gonna be fine, I'm gonna be the one on vacations, and this is my kind of lottery ticket. I'm not saying every parent is like that, but I do know several are. So I think they probably do not understand the impact that the kid is the result of their pressure. I don't think they're really cognizant of that, because that's not their focus. Their focus is on, this is my meal ticket, this kid is going to do this, and some of it is actually good spirited, because, for example, the pressure that I got, a lot of the pressure I got from my family was, particularly my mom, was more about my education than really going pro. So she was like, this is your way to get your education and go to a big school and pay your tuition. So she wasn't looking at it like for her really, but she really thought it was the best thing to set up my life. Right. And so there are those parents too. So it really depends on the household.
Yeah, because your mom saw it for your benefit, not her benefit. So that was the difference.
Yes.
The sacrifice.
Exactly.
So what are 3 rules you live by?
3 rules I live by. Let's see. Again, talk it out, don't act it out. That's really sharing what I sharing what is going on and what I go through. Keep pushing, no matter what. Just keep on going, and keep the focus on the main thing. And I think lastly, that, let me see. These are good. It's making you put me on the spot. Let's see. 3 rules I live by is just that: find meaning in madness.
Find meaning in madness. I'm telling you, story of my life. You got to find meaning in it, or it's just not gonna go the way. You go into a Debbie Downer state, and then that throws you or catapults you into depression, and you're not going to ever see the good in what you have going on. So I love that. When I saw it, and I said, I have to interview him. He's just like, that's spectacular, because everybody doesn't see life that way. When my sister died, and I had a hard time, but I had to pivot and move my feet so fast that I didn't have time to grieve. And the one thing, because I have a full-time job, so aside from my writing and blogging, my supervisor said, well, you just have to adjust to do normals. So, and I have adopted that mentality, adapting to new normals. Mm-hmm. Nothing is ever going to be the same. Like, no matter how much we want that thing to be, mm-hmm. Like if I go outside today, the sun is not going to shine the same way tomorrow. The grass is not going to glisten in that same place that caught my attention the day before. So I love that you did that, because people who think outside the box will really appreciate what you're bringing to the table. And speaking of what you're bringing to the table, I like that you are charging a lesser fee for people to join in that can sit in. So why was that important for you?
This is just such a hard time for people, and we really wanted to make this just accessible for people to learn. I mean, this is a time where it's not, I mean, everybody's struggling. This isn't a time for, emptying your wallet. This is a time to learn and connect with people. That's why Clubhouse is blowing up. People just want to have conversations, right?
Right.
They want to get on Zoom calls and just connect. And so we wanted our event to really fit what people are feeling right now and what people need. And so this is TEDx Oxnard. It's March 20th, and we're doing suggested donations of $20, but it's pay what you can. So if you just have a couple bucks, or even if you don't have anything at all and you just can spend your time, we want you to come through.
I love that. I'm going to watch, because I was like, well, what could he possibly say in 18 minutes that's going to get me going? And this interview has got me going, because I'm like, I need to think my life path. Am I a motivational speaker?
So you're going to be there?
You are great. That just goes to show.
Are you going to be there?
I'm is it virtual?
It's virtual.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. All right, I'm taking your word for it. Right here, you said it.
I said it, I meant it. If I said it, I mean it. I'm paying the $20 though, because it's just so worth it. I like transparency, and you offer that. You have so many motivational speakers or inspirational speakers and empowerment speakers, but are you moving and operating from a place of truth? Like, if you leave this place today and you go home and you're hit with something, how are you gonna behave? And are you gonna tell that same story to me, or keep it to yourself? So, and I love that you come from a realistic approach. So that's something I can learn from. And not only that, highlight it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So, and this is my last question. Is there anything else that you're working on that you want our viewers to know about?
I'm just working on putting out more content. Again, getting back to getting out of my perfectionist side of me and just putting out, being a little bit more prolific with my videos and talks and things like that. So would love if you can follow me on my social networks at Pierce J. Brooks. I'm on Instagram, Medium, just got on Clubhouse, Twitter. So wherever, I think if it's a social network, I'm probably there. Other than Parler, you won't find me there.
Oh Lord,
But,
please don't.
but everything else you could find me. So yeah, just stay in tune, and again, I have my talk coming up at TEDx Oxnard. Other than that, just looking forward to whatever moves me in the moment.
And when you see me bebopping out there in the audience, just know I
Yes.
made good on my promise.
Yep.
So thank you so much. You were an absolute joy, and I appreciate you allotting your time to me today.
Anytime. Talk to you soon. Thank you.
Bye.